Welcome into episode 48 of the Sources Say Podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball and recruiting podcast on the growing KSR Podcast Network. I am your host, Jack Pilgrim of Kentucky Sports Radio, and today we have an awesome show playing for you guys. We're back with our main two co-hosts, David Sisk and Travis Graff of Cats Illustrated. First off, how are you guys doing?
What up, fellas? I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. Got a special co-host today, so looking forward to this episode.
Dave, how are you?
I'm glad we got somebody new. I'm tired of carrying this show. Tired of being Blair and Tully and Arn. So
yeah, so we have decided to bring in a brand new co-host on the show today. It's somebody that Kentucky fans should be very familiar with already. If not, you need to be. 2022 five-star guard, Skyy Clark. Skyy, what's going on, man?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good. You know, there's a bunch to talk about, obviously, with, you know, you've had a big 24 hours, I guess 48 hours. You've been getting a bunch of big offers recently, but we wanted to bring you on to talk about the most recent Kentucky offer and just talk hoop with you. Just, talk about your move to Brentwood, talk about some other stuff going on down in Tennessee and, just kind of throughout the country. So we thought you'd be the perfect co-host for this week's episode. So right off the bat, let's jump in on last night's big news. Kentucky offers you. First off, your very first thoughts on Kentucky offering you.
I don't even know what to say. It was a huge blessing. Just hearing Coach Kyler, because we were on a Zoom call with Coach Barbie, Coach Kyler Perry, Coach Payne, and Coach Justice, and Coach Kennedy, and then just hearing him say like you have an official offer for scholarship to Kentucky, it didn't even seem real. It's something I've been waiting for a very long time.
Well, see, I want to know who was more excited, you or your dad, because your dad called me immediately after, and he's like heavy. I was like, damn, Kenny, calm down a bit. Like,
yeah, I was really excited, but my dad looked more excited than me. But yeah, it was a blessing.
So the night before, word leaked out that the Skype call or the Zoom conference call was going to happen, did you have a sense that this offer was coming, or how did UK pitch this Zoom call with you? Did they just act like it was just going to be another conversation with you, or could you tell that an offer was coming?
Yeah, well, me and my dad, in the back of the way back of our head, thought maybe because I got the North Carolina offer this week, and so we were like, maybe I'll get an offer, but we weren't expecting anything. So it was a huge surprise.
What was that North Carolina offer like? I know your mom posted on your Instagram post, and then I asked your dad too, that Roy Williams, you were the first player he's ever offered without seeing play in person. What was that like?
Yeah, no, I was making a TikTok, and then he called me, and I was about to let it just ring, but then I saw who it was. I was like, oh snap, Coach Roy's calling me. So I went outside, and then we just started. We talked for 30 minutes, and then he offered me, and we talked for a long time. Yeah, that was super special though. I actually started tearing up.
Now you're one of the biggest TikTokers I know. Are you gonna commit on TikTok or what?
I just like to make people laugh. That's about it.
Now, with all this stuff going, AAU's kind of shut down temporarily. At least, we don't know when those events are going to start coming back. But right now is when these college coaches are supposed to be seeing you in action, and that's when Coach Cal has never offered a rising junior before seeing them in person. So I believe you are the first for him to do that without actually seeing you this summer. What does that mean to you that you kind of broke that barrier of being the first offer from Coach Cal without him seeing you in person?
It's a huge honor because just knowing that he's seen film and stuff, but it's nothing actually going and seeing a kid play. So just knowing that I'm the first kid that he offered without actually seeing play in person is huge. Yes, it's a blessing.
You're outside right now in a jacket. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm about an hour south of you, and I'm about ready to melt. How do you?
No, yeah, it's hot out here. It's hot.
How did the rest of that conversation go outside of just the offer talk? What else did you guys talk about?
We're talking about their plan with how they're treating COVID and how they're treating the players, like what they're doing and how they're handling all that. And they were just having normal conversation and stuff.
What did they say about how they're handling the COVID stuff? Because, we kind of talked to some of the other parents from afar, and we kind of get their take on it. But what did the coaches say to you about how they're handling it? And, like, did you feel like if you were an incoming athlete, would you feel comfortable with how they're handling it?
No, yeah, they're doing it. Coach Cal has it all figured out. He said it wasn't easy, but he's basically none of the kids can contact in person can contact each other. They all got their own dorms, own bathroom. And then I think they're only letting one person in the gym at a time, and they're just doing the shooting machine. Like, not even the coaches. Coach Cal said they can't even go in their offices yet. So
wow.
He said his mail has been mailed to him recently. But yeah, so they do the shooting machine, they get up shots, and then they sanitize the balls after. So yeah, he has it all figured out. They're doing Zoom calls and everything. And they're getting the kids tested, I think like once or twice a week or something like that.
Gotcha. How are you handling all this with with you being able to get into the gym? I know we've actually gone to see you play in some of those pro runs, but how are you handling it, and how are you able to stay in shape, get shots up, and kind of get yourself ready for this upcoming season?
I'm pretty much just living. I'm living safe, but I'm not really around a lot of people. The people that I'm around, I know that they don't have COVID or anything. So luckily, we've been blessed with a trainer for. I do football work as well, just on like working on my first step in agility and quickness and stuff. So luckily, I have him, and then Coach Jamal.
Has there been a COVID spike in Brentwood here in the last few days? I know numbers throughout. It's getting to different areas now. Kentucky, obviously, Tennessee, Alabama had record numbers yesterday. Is it got into Brentwood more, and is that something that you worry about that might affect your workouts in the future?
I believe there's a spike. I don't know if it's in just Brentwood, but there's definitely a spike in Tennessee. But yeah, in Davidson County, you have to wear a mask, and if not, they fine you $50.
Wow.
So yeah, it's crazy. But I don't really think it'll affect my workout schedule. I feel pretty safe with what I have going on right now.
Now, you're talking about doing football workouts. If you were to play football, would you be quarterback, pretty boy, wide receiver? What would you do?
Wide receiver.
I knew it.
Yep.
Did you used to play football, or were you good at it?
I played flag when I was 7. That was my only time. But I got MVP. I was a wide receiver back then. But yeah, my mom wasn't gonna let us put the pads on.
How good's the training at a place like Brentwood Academy for those that may not be familiar with it in Kentucky? That's one of the best athletic programs and definitely one of the best football programs historically in the Southeast. Mm-hmm. How has the training that they can do with you there at school, how would that help?
Nah, yeah, the training out here is next level. Coach Jamal, who's gotten he's trained Darius his whole entire life, and Darius is in with Cleveland now. But Coach Jamal is one of the best trainers that I've been with. And then Coach Jay Holt, the one who I'll be on the football field with, he is next level. He trains NFL players and everything. And, like, I can already feel it. My vert has probably increased about another 2-3 inches already.
And I know you're talking about Jamal Richardson. How is his training different than what you've had in the past? And what do you think you've picked up since you've started working with him?
Probably just simplifying the game, because I feel like if you ask any trainer, there's not really much you can teach me. Like, moves-wise, like, I can pretty much do any dribbling move you need me to do. So I have all the dribbling. So right now I'm just really working on coming off pin downs and off down screens and all that, catch and shoot, like learning how to play off the ball.
I was going to say, if anybody else doesn't have a question here, I was going to say from that it tells me that you may be working more, and you said it off the ball, then that's probably going to be a question we're all going to have. Point guard, can play the two, that you're kind of working on the shooting guard spot by doing that.
Not really. I'm still I'm still the point guard. But if Coach Cal or whoever coach I play with, if they need me to play off the ball, then I can do that as well. In the NBA, you're not always gonna have the ball in your hand. You know, point guards, sometimes you'll pass it to the wing, come down, come off some screens, and then catch and shoot. So I'm just working on different ways to score. It makes you a lot harder to guard if you can do stuff without the ball. Like Steph Curry. Steph Curry comes off a whole bunch of down screens before he shoots the ball, and this makes him 10 times harder to guard.
Now, your dad said you've been working on your shot. Would you say that that's like the part of your game that you're trying to increase your ability in, or like you consider that a weakness, or just something that you're working on?
I wouldn't consider it a weakness. It's definitely gotten a lot better. My freshman year, I shot, I think 20% from three, and then this past year, my sophomore year, I shot 39% from three. So. And this year, I plan on even, like, trying to shoot, like, 50, 60% from three. Because I shoot only NBA threes when I work out, so the high school three is going to be a lot easier. So I wouldn't consider it a weakness, but it's definitely something that I can improve.
How do you think –
I'm sorry. What part have you tried to work on your shot to get stronger? Is it release points? Is it footwork? Is it reps? Shooting stronger?
Definitely.
What?
Yeah, reps, just – getting more consistent. I think that's my biggest problem is I'll go like a good week with a shooting, like a good shooting week. And then I'll go like 2-3 days, like it'll kind of be a little streaky and I'll get back on. So just having a really consistent jump shot, that's probably the biggest thing.
How do you think you stacked up in these pro runs? How do you think you stacked up against the other talent? You know, we were there, we saw you, we were impressed, but you know, your own personal scattering report of yourself, how do you think you matched up against the likes of Darius Garland, you know, Robert Covington, those guys?
I think I'm holding my own pretty well, but it's definitely helping my game a whole lot. I played in the pro run on Saturday, and I was doing good in that. And then I played in the college high school run on Sunday, and it was just
night and day.
It was like scoring was so easy. I don't even think I took a jump shot. I got to the basket whenever, like every time I wanted to. But yeah, so it's definitely gonna help a whole lot when I get.
What are those players that you're playing against in the runs, like Darius Garland, Skyy Clark, Robert Covington? You had Alex Porthos out there. Which guy do you have the most? Who do you like think is the hardest to guard?
Ian. Darius is usually on my team, but Darius and Ian are like yeah, they're different. Like Ian, he does some stuff that I've never seen before. His footwork and his pace and his jump shot is next level.
How long are you gonna be able to play with them? Like, how long are these runs gonna be going on throughout the summer?
From the looks of it, every single weekend. We're doing it. Today's Friday. Today's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna do it tomorrow, next week, the week after that. So pretty much it's every weekend.
Now, go ahead, David.
One thing that he said was against the high school is he hasn't taken a jump shot. We came down and watched you against all the college guys and the pro guys. We were all three there. You didn't take a jump shot against those guys. You were at the
it's definitely – that's one thing I'm trying to work on is just shooting more, because when I get to college and like the NBA level, I'm definitely going to have to start shooting more. So that's definitely something I'm working on. It's just coming down and just pull it up, because that'll make it even easier to get to the basket. Because if you're coming down, you hit a three, come down again, hit a three, come down again, get by the dude, hit a mid-range, then you can come down, boom, hezzy, he jumps, and then you can get to the basket.
So something David and I were talking about when we wrote a scouting report for Cats Illustrated on you, first thing you jumped out is your strength and your build. You're like naturally big. Your dad's a big dude. Do you strength train, or are you just naturally gifted with?
No, trust me. None of this that you see it came easy. It was all a lot of hard work, and that's what Coach Scotty. Well, when I was in Cali, I was at EPX and Mamba Academy. They changed the sports academy now, but I was there like 3-4 times a week, lifting weights and doing a whole bunch of stuff. But now I'm out here. I usually go to Brazilian with Coach Scotty, which is like right around the corner. or I go with Coach Jay Holt on the football field.
What has been the biggest like difference between LA and Brentwood? Like, how have you adjusted with the move, and how much more are you enjoying it where you are now than where were you before?
One thing that's really different is the weather. I miss Cali. That's probably like the thing I miss about Cali is definitely the weather and my friends. But there's great people out here. They're showing great hospitality, and they're just welcoming me and my family. And you know, there's really nothing to hate out here besides the weather. The weather out here is bipolar.
The humidity, is that what you hate or what?
Yeah, that humidity be messing up my hair.
Well, you're the one that's wearing a damn jacket.
Yeah, I said don't wear the coat.
I don't have I just left the workout. I didn't bring an extra shirt.
Yeah.
So this is all I got.
But speaking of Nashville, you just recently moved to Nashville. You were all over the headlines with Black Lives Matter protests, and you were one of the first ones out there like, hey, let's clean up the mess from the protest the next day. Can you – and McCurr Maker's in the news right now with HBCU. He just committed to Howard 4 o'clock this morning. And, yeah, I woke up to that. And so, like, what's your thoughts on all that? I know you got an offer from Tennessee State, which is a HBCU. What's your thoughts on all that?
No, yeah, it's definitely a game-changing route, and I respect McCurr for making that decision. You know, I just if that's what he thinks that will like help bring a change, then all power to him. But you know, it's a great route. Yeah.
Is it something you're going to consider when you look at your own recruitment?
Yeah, it's definitely something I'll consider. Yes, sir.
What does it mean to be, you know, you are a prominent young black athlete in this country going with all this stuff going on. You have all the followers you have on social media. You know, your voice is louder than most. What does it mean to you that people kind of look up to you for guidance and advice and you know, in a time like we're living in right now that you are one of the most prominent voices and, you know, people look to you for help?
It's a huge blessing just knowing God put me in this position to do such things, and I feel like He gave me my platform that I have right now to reach people and make them feel like they have a voice, because everybody has a voice. No matter if you have 1 million followers or 1 follower, it's going to take everybody to change.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Jamal, probably about a day or two after the first march. And I think it's a question we need to ask, because I think we need to ask the tough questions and hear some of us hear what we're not used to. I agree. But what's your experience as a young black man in America? What you go through daily, or maybe not daily, but what you may have experienced. What, you know, I can't answer that for you. And I think more of us need to, instead of thinking that we have the answers, and I'm not trying to make this political at all, but I think we need to listen to what other people, you know, what their experiences have been and try to take it in.
No, yeah. Yeah, I've had several experiences, especially this last year. I would get flicked off. I got called the N-word a lot. But, yeah, but being an athlete as well, you don't really experience it as much because we're like, they're rooting for us and they love what we do. But yeah, when I was little, when I lived in Atlanta, we lived like 20 minutes away from a KKK headquarters. And that's when we probably experienced it the most. There was one time someone set a snapping turtle on our front porch, which was random. But yeah, I haven't really experienced it as much as other people, but I've definitely had some occurrences.
When you said you were called the N-word, now was that something like you're in a game from a fan somewhere, or was that out on the street, or what was it?
Yeah, there was one game last year. The team, right before we played them, my coach overheard them say some racial things. And then another game, I was shooting free throw. I got a and one, and I started flexing at the crowd, and I got flicked off, and I started shooting free throws, and then I heard some N-words. So yeah, it's like it happens like during the game.
Did you see any? This is the last question I'll ask guys on this. I'm sorry. take it. But have you seen a difference? And you're in the Mid-South area, not far from Kentucky, Nashville area. Have you seen a difference in there compared to the other places that you've lived? Let's say California. Do you see a difference? Racial relations, or what people's attitudes are toward you?
I haven't, since I've been out here, I haven't really experienced anything racial. I think it's getting a lot better from what I've seen personally, just from being at the protests and from the cleanups, and when I threw the prayer night, it was really diverse, and then there was a lot of white people just like really like they want to see change as well, which is beautiful to see. But I know there's some areas out here where my friend sent me a video. There's a dude riding a horse with a Confederate flag, and then he said he was like antagonizing Black people and stuff. But yeah, I haven't personally experienced anything out here, but there's definitely gonna be few. But I feel like it's getting a lot better.
Now I'll say this: I've had a lot of DMs and like replies to tweets that I've tweeted about you, and from UK fans are like, I've had 3 that have said I don't care if he can make a layup, if he can make a 3-pointer. I want this kid on our team just due to his character. So a lot of people, there's a lot of eyes on what you're doing. Yeah.
That's love. I love that.
Well, and when you think of it, like, obviously there's a long way to go. We'll get into the recruitment and timeline and all that here in just a second. But like, that's one thing that John Calipari has promoted so often, and with his players, he wants those people to use their platform for good and all that. So talking to people around the program, Travis and I, we both done talk to the same people. They've specifically said part of the reason why they're so interested in you and why they love you so much is because you already kind of embody that like Kentucky mindset, that's something that they appreciate about you more than some of the other guys that may be on the same recruiting level, but you understand. And I think that's something that they obviously they appreciate, and that's part of the reason why you're one of the first, the first guy that they've offered in the class, and without seeing you and all that stuff. So shifting back to your recruitment a little bit and just the timeline of it all, what's next for you? With AAU events kind of being canceled, up in the air right now, what are you looking for in terms of a decision timeline and kind of when you're kind of planning to just take that next step?
I think probably the next step is, I think there's like about 2-3 colleges whose offers I haven't got yet. But I think the next step is just visits, and y'all are hearing this first, but I'm gonna take all my junior and senior year classes this coming year, just in case I do reclass up. So I'll be ready, because I'm definitely considering it now. But nothing's set in stone yet, but it's definitely an option.
Now, you told me last night that you said you didn't want to wait too long to make a decision, probably around the end of the first semester, right before the season starts, because you want to be able to enjoy high school, but you still want to be able to do the McDonald's All-American game, Jordan Brand game.
Yeah.
If you were to reclass. So is that your timeline around that time?
Yeah, probably around November, December, before first semester ends or something like that.
Do you think you're going to make it?
Go ahead, Jay.
Do you think you're going to make a reclass decision at the same time as your college decision? Like, would you say, I am going to reclass and I'm going to college at the same time? Or are you going to, what is going to come first in all this?
I haven't really thought about that much, but I feel like I would reclass first and then make my decision.
Is Coach Calipari or any of the coaches that you talked to at Kentucky, did they mention reclass? And does that kind of work its way into the fit part?
Yeah. I've told most of the college coaches that I'm definitely considering reclassifying up. So yeah.
What all is it going to depend on mostly for you? Is it going to be development this summer leading into the season, or because we've talked to people around the Kentucky program, like Jack said, and they said that they would take you in either class and that they feel like you're college ready now.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it just depends on, like you said, like this, my summer development, with Coach Jamal and Coach Mark Edwards, who I've been with this week. I feel like they're going to take my game to an even higher level than what I've been at. And I feel like I'm going to be like 10 times better than I am right now by the time the season comes and everything. So, yeah, it definitely just depends on how I feel going into the season, how my games go, and stuff like that.
Now,
when I look at you, I'm sorry, Travis. Go ahead, Travis.
I know that the AAU season's kind of looking dim right now, but if there is like fall activities into summer activities, who are you going to be running with?
I'm still picking between teams right now.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
When you when I watch you play and look at you, and Travis said it, your physicality, especially in your lower base, your legs, just this body. For anybody that's not seen you play, you know, you were playing out there with 20-year-olds, and I would have had no clue that you were a high schooler. I mean, you look physically like they did. Is that part of what you're one thing that you look at and you say, hey, if I go to 2021, I'm ready to go because I feel like physically I can handle that?
Oh, snap. Hold on. Sorry about this. Mom's called. Yeah, it's definitely something that I feel like my body is getting to the point where, you know, it's like it's built enough. I'm physical enough to play at that level. So, yeah, definitely.
Let me ask one more on this, guys. What if you can't take, because of COVID, you're not allowed to take visits during the fall? Let's say that happens. You put it back, or do you feel you don't know enough about each school?
I would definitely try and set up. I know they're doing virtual visits, and I would definitely do more Zoom calls with coaches and stuff. It may set it back, but it may not as well if, you know, I get enough info about the college and I get a better feel for the coaches and the fans and stuff like that.
Have you taken a virtual visit yet? Do you know, like, fans have no idea what virtual visit means, you know, with all this stuff, craziness going on. What does that even mean to take a virtual visit to a school? Do you know what that entails?
I've kind of taken one with Wake Forest. It wasn't a Zoom call or anything, but he sent me like a Google Maps thing, and it was literally like the whole entire campus, basketball facility and stuff like that. And then, like, you would just tap on a certain room, and then it'll show a picture of that entire room and stuff. But I believe the virtual visits is, like, a coach will call you on a FaceTime or Zoom call, and then they'll just take you around campus and start explaining things.
Be ready to see coaches riding around in golf carts doing the I'm serious. I've talked to plenty of guys that's already done that. Coaches ride around in golf carts and show you the campus just like you would be in there with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Y'all want to start asking the fan questions from
Sure. I got them pulled up. Yeah.
Hey, can I ask one fan question here? I'm the old guy here, and I'm going to forget. I've got to ask this because I'm sorry. You brought it up. I have to. You talked about at the Mamba Academy. You were out there. Did you ever see Kobe Bryant while you were in there? And if you did, do you have any stories?
Yeah. I saw him twice, but I was on the court, and then they got a kind of upper area where, like, you can sit and stuff. He was up there talking with his girls team, so I didn't get to meet him or anything. But my little brother Zizi actually, like, went to his house and then went to a gym with him and actually got to play. He was guarding Gigi, and Gigi was guarding him, and they played like 5-on-5, and then he got to meet Kobe and talk to him and stuff.
So you never broke his ankles?
Nah, if I got a chance to play Kobe one-on-one, man, I don't even know. That would be like the greatest moment of my entire life.
Man, yeah, that'd be nuts. All right, I got some of these questions pulled up.
Okay.
So first one is from Wes Payne. He says, if you had to choose one other player currently in high school, so I guess regardless of class, to play with at the next level, who would it be?
Shoot, there's a few. I definitely want to play with Imani. Jaden Bradley is another person who I've known him forever. He's definitely somebody that me and him would play well together. And then Jalen Duran is another one. Me and him would definitely go really well together. on the court.
How many other players do you talk to, in your grade about where you're going to go to college and things like that?
I haven't really talked to anybody. I've talked to Brandon Miller. That's probably about the only one that I've talked to about like teaming up and stuff. Oh, and Trey White. Trey White's another one. Trey White moved to California a few months ago, and then during the whole quarantine and everything, we had a gym, so we was working out every single day, and then we started talking about that.
Got you. All right. Next one from Jeff Turok. What are your priorities for picking your college? And then who are some players you model your game after?
Definitely the fan base is one of them. Like how the fans react and like how they show love and stuff and how they make me feel welcome. That's definitely one of the biggest things. How the coach coaches, will it fit my game? Will it help me get my game to the next level? The atmosphere, the way they do things, stuff like that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a school that's going to help me achieve my dreams.
And then who are some of the players you model your game after?
Kyrie is one of them. Ryan Harrow is another who was a former Kentucky player for a little bit. And Steve Nash is another person who I love to watch. But I try to watch a lot of people and see what they do best, and then I take that and try to add that to my game.
So this one's from –
and Ryan. People forget how nasty Ryan Harrow was.
Ryan Harrow's different.
He's still nasty. It didn't work out at Kentucky, but he's still nasty. Like people.
No, yeah. Yo, Ryan is. I'm with Mark Edwards. That's who trained Ryan since he was a little kid, and yeah.
Mark Edwards. Are you a Monstar now?
What you say?
Are you a Monstar Labs guy now?
Mark's work is different. Mark's work is different. We was in the gym from 10 to 1 yesterday, and then we came back and went from like 9 to 10:30, and then today we went from 10 to 12:30.
Sheesh. All right, this kind of goes in line with the previous question about the NBA. This is from Trent Z. If you could have a magic wand and steal any NBA player's trait, what would it be? Steph Curry's range, Kawhi's defense, anything like that?
Either LeBron's athleticism or Curry's range, even Dame's range. But yeah, one of those three.
All right, this is from Big Bob. For Skyy, would he rather lose early in the NCAA tournament and be guaranteed a lottery pick, or win a title and be guaranteed a non-lottery pick?
Shoot, that's a tough one. I definitely want to be a lottery pick. That's like a dream. But I also winning the championship would also be a huge thing. That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that
one. People could hate on like kids want to be lottery picks. It happens with the old heads all the time. But it's like you don't understand the money difference. Like it's life-changing money.
Yeah.
And if they were in that position, if you could have like a few $100,000 or guaranteed like 10 million, which one are you gonna take?
Exactly.
I'd say the more you win, it's because the better you are. The better you are, the higher you're going to get drafted. So
that's true.
I'd say probably
All right, this is from Rockwall Cat. He says, "What number will you be wearing?" He says at Kentucky, but we're just going to say at the college level.
55.
And why is that?
That's going to be my number for the rest of the time, and it's just different. And then Ryan Harrow wore 55, who's a player I look up to. Jason Williams wore 55, who's another player I look up to. And then you just don't see people wearing a large number like that, so especially point guards. So I just feel like it's just different.
All right, we'll end it with this one. If you could pick any UK Cal team to have played on in the past, what year would you choose?
Probably the year. I say the year with Anthony Davis or Anthony. Was AD and DeMarcus Cousins, did they play the same year or not?
It was John Wall. It was John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. So it was. Yeah. Anthony Davis' year was with like Marcus Teague, Terrence Jones, Kyle Wiltshire, those guys.
AD and Terrence Jones. I know Terrence really well. We used to work out together. But yeah, definitely that year.
We have to ask Ben Ray's question too. We have to. Ben Ray asked, when will he be committing to UK?
Hey, I don't know. We'll see what happens though.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Do you guys have anything else?
I don't. I appreciate you coming on the show.
No,
thank y'all.
Thanks as always, man. Thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate you, brother, and we look forward to following your recruitment and seeing where things go in the next couple months.
Let's get it.
All right, brother. Be safe.
All right, peace.
And we are back from our interview with Skyy Clark. Real quick, guys, first initial thoughts. Travis, what do you think of the interview? What, any overall takeaways you have from it?
Just per usual, he's a great kid coming from a really great family. He's everything UK emulates within their program. He's a stand-up kid, speaks his mind and open about everything and uses his platform really well, and he's a great player to boot. So,
David, you were all about asking him questions on what type of player he is, his build, what he projects as at the college level. You were all about getting the X's and O's. Did you learn anything on that front that kind of caught your attention?
Well, I thought it was maybe a little interesting. You talked about playing off the ball some. And, that's been a discussion that we've all had. Is he I think he was more of a point guard because of his height. Now, one thing that we didn't talk about here, I think he and his dad both say that the doctor still thinks he can get to 6'4". And if he does, and I think that's a game changer even from now, because then he can play two. But, he's looking at playing off the one, playing off the ball. And you never know the way Coach Calipari, recruits and who could come in. I mean, you could be looking at, kind of like Quickly and Higgins, where you've got 2-point guards on the floor at the same time, and then you've got to play off. So I thought that was interesting.
I thought it was fascinating that he was so open about the reclassification process and said flat out, I am going to be doing all my academic work for my junior and senior years this coming year to put myself in position to reclass. And if you think about it, have we seen a player do that and not follow through on a reclassification?
Well, I'll say this. He told me last night in the interview that I posted on Cats Illustrated, Joel Justice already has his transcript. And, they're super invested in him going 2021. And if you look at I'm sure you saw it, Jack. I know David did. If you look at Corey Evans's mock county UK class right now, he feels really confident about UK landing Brandon Huntley Hatfield, Paulo Banchero, and Jaden Hardy. And I think that I think there's a very good possibility you could add Skyy to that list. And if you look at it, that would be a roster kind of like this past year, where you have a really skilled 4 in Paulo. I think Isaiah Jackson returns. I think he'd be at the 5. I think Brandon Huntley Hatfield would be the 6th man. And then you have to run a 3-guard lineup with Askew, Clark, who can both run the point, Jaden Hardy, who can initiate and would be one of the top 5 scorers of the Cal era at UK. I think that lineup could really work, and I think it's reasonable.
I mean, if you think of
UK gets Kennedy, as of right now, I don't think UK gets Kennedy Chandler. I think they're firmly running second from somebody I talked to that's close to him behind Tennessee right now. But I think that Skyy Clark reclassifying has a lot of legs to it.
I mean, if you look at what that roster would be, 1, Devin Askew, 2, Skyy Clark, 3, Jaden Hardy, 4, if you want to put Isaiah Jackson, Paulo Banchero kind of being the makeshift versatile 4/5, however they want to do it. That is, I mean, if you're talking athletic, high scoring, fast pace, that team would be so much fun to watch. And then you have Brandon Huntley Hatfield coming off the bench most likely, unless he turns into a star freshman and you have no choice but to start him from day one. But that roster from top to bottom, potentially Cameron Fletcher, Lance Ware coming back. I know it's, too early to predict anybody to come back at Kentucky ever. But if you're kind of just thinking of where their rankings are right now, that roster from top to bottom would be filthy.
Now,
I think you have to go ahead, Travis.
Jack, you got some scoop the other day that you told me about, that you were hearing behind the scenes that UK might go after it. Like, UK's been after grad transfer big men. You said that there's a possibility they might go after grad transfer shooters, which would probably be off the bench shooter. But can you kind of tell us about rumblings you're hearing on that?
So I don't know if I'm allowed to talk because it's so early in the process, but you know what? Screw it. I don't care.
Not name drop. Just
what?
You don't have to name drop. Just talk about.
Well, there is a player that is already in discussions right now about potentially grad transferring at Kentucky. Like, this is something that behind the scenes, like, I don't even think they're not legally allowed to talk right now. So nothing like on that front, but there is a player that is extremely interested in grad transferring to Kentucky next year. That would be, I mean, he's like a 40% shooter at the college level right now. He'd be an instant plug and play guy. He's going to would come in and get buckets from day one. And to have a piece like that coming off the bench, man, I mean, it'd be like the Nate Sestina equivalent of, you know, a guy that you trust to come of a guard. It'd be a guy that you could trust to come in and make an immediate impact from day one. Add that, you know, add that veteran leadership, that versatility, you know, just add that one extra shooting piece to the roster that would already make the roster is already looking to be one of the deepest, one of the most talented we've seen. Adding a piece like this would only help their cause for sure.
And I think you got to look to elsewhere besides the traditional route. It's more non-traditional now. I mean, if you take a look at what's coming in this year, you've got 3 transfers and 2 reclasses. If you take the year before, Tyrese Maxey, was there another reclass in that group? I'm trying to think. And then
I don't think so.
Then you had Nate Sestina come in. So the more things change now, and it changes more every year with G leagues and things like that coming into play, and you're looking at guys maybe wanting to get up and get into the money earlier than they might have been able to 3 or 4 years ago. I think every year from here on out, we're going to have to look and say, okay, there is going to be at least 1 reclass coming into Kentucky's class, and, you know, 2 or 3 are not out of the mix. So we're looking at Skyy Clark and Huntley Hatfield right now, and it wouldn't surprise me if another one comes. Also, keep in mind, you're going to have the one-time automatic transfer rule probably come into play next year. You know, you do that and everybody's fair game.
Well, talking to people around the program, this year was kind of a tough year for them because they felt that they did everything right going into the year in terms of building this roster for now and in the future. They thought Johnny Juzang was a guaranteed 2-year player. They were, you know, penciling him in as a next year guy. Khalil Whitney, from day one, I had heard that there were some serious rumblings that he was not going to be a one and done, that he was he had some struggles, but from that day they were like, okay, well, we don't need to go all in on some of these other guys because we're kind of loosely planning on Khalil Whitney to return. They lose both of them via transfer, you know, some surprise departures. You know, they kind of thought EJ Montgomery, there's a chance he would come back based on how he played. You know, there were some surprises from top to the bottom on the roster that they were not accounting for. And I think there's some genuine frustrations because of that. They want to, you know, kind of have some consistency and they're just as frustrated about roster management as we are. You know, they don't want fresh faces every single year, 10 new guys coming into the program. They'd like some longevity and some consistency on that front. So because of this transfer rule coming in, that I would not be shocked at all if they said, screw it, we're not going to invest all of our time and resources in, you know, top 5, top 10 guys as much as we would before, knowing that we can have our chance at elite transfers year after year after year, grad transfer and the one-time immediate transfer rule. The options are going to be endless for Kentucky moving forward. It's going to be something that Cal and the Kentucky coaching staff, they're going to eat first. I mean, without a doubt, they're going to have a very fun time with roster management moving forward.
Well, people have asked, and I think all three of us has got this question a ton. How is Coach Calipari going to adjust his recruiting philosophy, if we have no more one and done? And it's obviously, and now the G League's here, I think you're starting to see it. Transfers, reclasses. One thing I can say I think is interesting, Eric Bossi said this, and Eric said all along that he doesn't think that the NBA is necessarily at war with college basketball, that he just believes they don't want to see kids go overseas. And he wrote something this week that may not have stuck out to a lot of people, but it kind of caught my eye, that he said that with the G League, he thinks now that maybe the NBA is dragging their feet a little bit at the high school kids being able to come straight out into the NBA. He thinks there might be a chance that this G League route could be that conduit in between. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is there anything else that we want to get to before we call it a show? I mean, I guess, Amani Bates, that was a big decision, something that nobody really – it didn't – there was some speculation that he was going to potentially move forward with the pro route. There was some talk that he was going to sign with Clutch Sports just that morning, and then he ends up committing to Michigan State. So it was a slight surprise, but in terms of the actual college, that wasn't a shock. And also what he said during his commitment was not a shock at all. He flat out said, as of today, I am committing to this. I don't know what my future holds. Things can change in the future, but as of today, which it didn't leave me, confident at all that he's going to move forward with his college decision. I think he's going to end up going pro. I don't think he'll ever step foot on a college campus.
Guys, if they, and just to piggyback off what I just said, if they don't change the rule, I'm one of these guys who, and I may be in a minority here, I think he reclasses and plays 2020.
That'd be –
and that way he can still – and here's the thing. I think now if you can't go, if you have to go, let's say you have to do a one and done, or you have to go to the G League or what, you can move up a year and basically go 3 years of high school, and you're doing the same thing you would have done traditionally, and you're going in at the same time. So I could see him doing that and going to Michigan State and playing next year because, there's been some word that he's already out there trying to recruit some players to come with him and then, have that 1 year and then go on and make $1 billion.
I'll say this about another recruitment. I'm really behind this HBCU movement that McCurmaker is trying to start. I put in a future cast for UCLA late last night because, everybody knew that he was a wild card. And UCLA I put on the board on Cat Social, I was like medium to low confidence. Or I think I put medium confidence, but it's probably closer to low. I was just doing process elimination. I knew it wasn't going to be Kentucky. But there were some people out in LA that were pretty confident that they were going to land Maker. But I'm happy that he's going to Howard. Like, I hope that it starts a trend of kids like giving that consideration. Because I tweeted today, I said, could you imagine the 30 for 30 after like a couple years after the Black Lives Matter movement, if there's like a HBCU that goes on a huge tournament run and possibly wins the whole damn thing? Like, yeah, it would be electric.
It'd be huge.
Sharon Wright Jr. of Wake Forest just announced that he's transferring to Morgan State. This happened about 5 minutes ago. So that's another one. And, I was talking to the Rivals publisher for UCLA last night, and he felt really, really confident that Maker was going to go to UCLA. And then, like you say, we woke up this morning and saw that. And the first thing I saw on my phone was Maker to Howard. And I was like, wow, man, you think that's going to happen? Well, it had already happened. And, so that was kind of a surprise. We thought Kentucky, we talked about it this week, that they had kind of some different reports that we had heard that it was Howard and UCLA. And I think a lot of us thought UCLA, but, congratulations to them. Now we're going to see what he does here in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. For a player of McCour's status, just last year, he was a consensus top 3 recruit, big name, big following, kind of what we talked about with Skyy. He was one of those guys that that had been very serious about this for a long time. Every time I've talked to Ed Smith, David, I know you have as well, he's put Howard right in the mix of that, talking about, here's what Coach Cal thinks about him, here's what Mick Cronin thinks, and here's what the Howard coaching staff thinks. Like, he's narrow. I mean, he flat out told me that it was down to those three schools: Howard, UCLA, and Kentucky. And it always seemed like Kentucky was always going to be there. I think they were watching that Olivier Sarr thing closely, and like, okay, if he becomes a need, then that might be something we might look at just a little bit harder. But it always seemed like close to the end, it seemed like it was getting down to UCLA. It was going to come down to UCLA and Howard, and for the Mikey Williams of the world, they've talked about wanting to move forward with this HBCU movement and kind of put pen to paper on this instead of like, oh yeah, this is something we're interested in, I might consider it. McCord-Maker was the first to say, you know what, screw it, I'm going all in with this. This is a cause.
That too, if you'll remember.
Yeah. I mean, he went all in with it, took an official there, and said, I'm serious about this. This isn't just another hat on the table. Coach Cal always says this was something he was serious about. And, I'm the jury's still out on me if he actually ends up on that campus, if he doesn't. His recruitment's been so back and forth between the pros and the college ranks. But for him to, settle down and make this decision, I was like, man, that's good on him. There are so many people talking about it and, kind of flirting with the idea. He was the first to say, screw it, I'm going all in with it. If you're going to support a cause and a movement and all that, like, that's putting pen to paper. That's going in on it and saying, I'm going to move forward with this. I thought it was a really cool move.
I'll tell you two things it does. Number one, as you said, he's kind of the forerunner. You ever had a cat jump in your lap while you're doing a show? Anyway, it kind of does two things. Number one, it makes him the forerunner for a lot of elite talent to say, yes, I'm going to if not take a look, going to go. But it's almost like a Rooney Rule, if I can put it that way, in college basketball, where you're going to have a lot of these players. I think you see a lot of them that would put at least one historically black college university in their final list. And I think we're going to start seeing that. The other thing, even if he doesn't go to Howard, I think it does a lot for that program, because their facilities in a lot of these places are woefully subpar. And I think you get now donors interested, or maybe even people outside of the university that wouldn't have been, to say, hey, we're going to become involved. Your facilities have a huge upgrade. The colleges have a huge upgrade that they need. And I think that's just good for everybody. I could see ESPN deciding, hey, we're going to do a college game day here at somewhere like that next year. So I think it's good all the way around to really kind of give the boost that they need.
Yeah, I think if all it takes is one big booster. People have money in this world. They, the Joe Crafts of the world, that they have extra money. They're like, screw it, I'll put my name on a basketball facility or a football practice facility, something like that. People have money to spend, and if they see movements like this and they're wanting to donate to a cause and a movement, why wouldn't they choose a Howard or a Tennessee State, something like that, to say, you know what, I am wanting to support this movement. I'm going to put pen to paper on supporting this movement. I mean, this could be, if he ends up on campus, if it, ESPN puts him on TV, like I guarantee you they would, this feels like the first step of something pretty significant. It really does feel like this is like, this is the tip of the iceberg. We're about to get a whole lot more from where that came from.
I'm old enough to remember, and you guys are not, but when Grambling just cranked out NFL players left and right. Doug Williams, and, I remember even when Steve McNair played at Mississippi Valley State, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. It wasn't, you look at it and it didn't catch you off guard. I mean, you had players coming out of those leagues like that all the time. Ed Tuttle Jones, Richard Dent went to Tennessee State. So, if you go back, maybe it's kind of like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Like, we're going back to the future, where you're seeing a lot of really good, maybe players and athletes now start going back to that route.
I saw a tweet earlier. I haven't fact checked it, so it may be wrong, but I'm gonna go with what they said. They said that last HBCU basketball player that was drafted was Kyle O'Quinn in 2012. He was the 49th pick in the second round. And I loved Kyle O'Quinn. I really liked him at Norfolk State, and I liked him in the league. He's a great asset. He's a role player, but he's a great asset to the teams. But it's been – this draft will be 8 years since last year. So, also on another thing about the Clark family, everybody needs to watch out for Skyy Clark. He's a class of 2024 kid. He is Skyy's younger brother, who's going to be just as good as Skyy whenever it's all said and done. Already has offers from, off the top of my head, DePaul, Vanderbilt, and Rutgers. And
Rutgers is just most recent, like 2 days ago, right?
Yeah, I think and then he got offered from Tennessee State as well. And I mean, that kid, he's gonna be good. I know some people around Kentucky like him, and he's gonna be one to watch out for. But like I said before, the Clark family is super awesome. All three of us went out to dinner with them last time when we were down in Brentwood. And the thing is, like, we're not talking like we're not mooching info when we're talking with them. Like, all of us will talk to Kenny about life. We'll talk to all the kids about life. It's just they're good people, and they've been good to us. So, yeah,
I mean, this is an awesome family. I mean, think of like this is a normal kid. Like, what's so fascinating to me about Skyy is he has 200,000 plus, 200 plus thousand Instagram followers. One of the most popular kids in high school basketball, regardless of class, in terms of like likability. Like, other recruits like him, other prospects want to play with him. I mean, he's one of those larger than life type recruits. But you talk to him and you sit down at the dinner table. You remember when we were there at dinner, we heard him singing the Scooby-Doo song with his brothers, his brothers at the other table. Like, this is a kid. Like, the last time we had him on the show, he said, dude, I'm just another kid. I like riding my bikes around the neighborhood with my friends. And like, it's for how much he's already doing with his platform at such a young age. I mean, this is just a kid that UK loves. They fell in love with him a long time ago. They put pen to paper by offering him yesterday. And I mean, it feels like this is moving in the right direction for Kentucky fans that not only like good basketball players, but good kids. I mean, this is a awesome family, awesome kid. And I'm really excited about him. As you guys saw in this interview, he was great. We love him to death. So,
and one thing, and I tell my wife this all the time, because almost every kid or parent of a recruit that I'll interview, I'll do it over the speakerphone and I'll record, make sure I have no misquotes. And my wife will walk through and she'll go, "Who's that?" And if you have any misconceptions about or stereotypes, man, they'll be gone in a second, because I promise you 99% of the people that I talk to with these kids, I've got the lower IQ between the two. And I know that's hard to believe if you know me, but it's seriously, I mean, just, man, these kids, and I do Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Minnesota, all three. And I went back and looked, and I've interviewed now, since I've been doing it, over 1,000 players. And just the 99.999% of these kids that you talk to, man, they're just so well-rounded and just everything you'd want your kid to be.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's really cool, kind of getting to know these kids as kids and the families and doing all that. I mean, it's pretty fun. I only got thrown into this like a little over a year ago at this point, and I'm having a blast with it. And today was a good example of that. That was a good conversation. We love Skyy. We love having him on. Love his family. It was a good time.
Travis, we're going to talk to Future Cast right quick. Cats Illustrated, they pulled a trifecta yesterday. Justin and myself jumped on board with you and did put in Future Cast for a Skyy going to Kentucky.
Yeah, that's Justin never puts in Future Cast for basketball.
You've already been out there too. Let me say that you had already been. That had been in the works for you. You did that a good while ago.
Yeah, I felt really confident. I still feel extremely confident that he ends up at Kentucky, barring some unforeseen circumstances. You all know where I'm coming from on that. But Yeah, Justin put in one. That's a huge deal. Cats Illustrate. Rivals won't give you the option to put in a future cast unless they have an offer. So, just able to yesterday. So, and then I saw my new boss. I'm also writing for the Night Report for Rutgers now. Started that yesterday.
There you go. Shameless plug. You deserve that. You earned it.
My boss there, Richie, he put in one today too, for Kentucky, because I don't really stick my neck out there and say I'm extremely confident in something, but I'm really confident with discussions I've had with the Clark family over the past few months, to half a year probably, that he'll be a Cat.
One thing, and one reason I did too, Travis, and this is just, I'm going to talk outside of school here and just let the public know. Travis has said all along that he felt like an offer was coming, and from what he had told me in the past and from talking to them, but a lot from just everything that I hear from Travis, when they were going to have the Zoom call of all the coaches, we kind of knew what was coming. So and Travis has said all along, they're going to offer in July. And they offered yesterday, and that's when I went to it. I said, okay, kind of everything that's going on that we thought would happen has happened, and that's when I jumped in. But, Travis even going back, and he took some criticism on Twitter. You know how toxic it can be, where when he first they moved rather to Brentwood, Tennessee from California, Travis was like, we knew this was going to happen, but I couldn't say anything, and everybody was like, yeah, right, whatever, sure you did. And Travis did. Travis told me about this well back into the spring, and when I talked to Kenny, when he got they took the Vanderbilt unofficial, which I think was back in February or March, and that's when ZZ got the Vanderbilt offer. He said, look, I'm going to tell you something, and I already knew it because Travis had told me. He was like, don't say anything about it because he's still in school out here, but we're going to move to Brentwood. And if you look at the pictures, he was working out with Jamal Richardson at Brentwood Academy High School. So, but, they weren't going to say anything as long as they were still attending school out there. So, and Travis, like I said, kind of took some criticism over something that he was being 100% honest about, that he knew this was going to happen, but he was a man of his word. He said he wasn't going to say anything about it, and he didn't. But, we all knew the move was going to take place, and Travis was the first person that had told me.
And I kind of gave hints about it. Thanks for the backup there, David. But I kind of gave hints about it on the Cats Illustrated board. Like, I'm never going to ruin a kid's plans. Because me pushing that story early isn't worth the relationship I have with the Clark family. I'm always like that in every recruitment. But I kind of put something out on Cats Illustrated there for a while. I was like, yeah, there's going to be some upcoming circumstances that I think will help Kentucky's chances in this recruitment even more. And even when he was living in California, I was like, hey, I feel like he's going to be a Cat. So, yeah, I wish all recruits and their families, like David said, 99.999% are awesome, but I feel like the Clark family is probably that top 0.01%.
They are on the upper tier of that for sure. They're awesome from top to bottom. Good people. All right, with that, let's call it a show. Travis, where can fans find your work?
You can find my work alongside David Sisk at Cats Illustrated. You can find my work, or you can find me on Twitter at travgraph_rivals.
And your new website.
Night Report. Don't forget that.
Night Report. Yeah, I wonder how many UK fans are going to tune in for Rutgers news. But yeah, Night Report. You can find me there too, covering basketball.
It's worth it. You've earned it, David.
Well, I'll say this though. One thing about the Night Report, if I had to pick two places, and I'd actually had a discussion with a guy about this about a week ago, and I can't even remember which recruit it was, but he was talking about getting into New Jersey. How well John Calipari is just entrenched in that state, and that's been a fertile recruiting ground for him. So you're really going to have to beat on that state, and I think that's important because New Jersey's so important to John Calipari when he goes out and gets players.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can fans find your work?
Cats Illustrated, along with Travis and Coach David Sisk at Twitter. We keep it up. In another 15 years, I'll have as many Twitter followers as you guys have right now.
Maybe one day. No, you'll get it. You'll get it. You're
I'm gonna start talking about politics on there.
That's not a good idea.
You want a good way to like get a lot less followers than Jack, since I'm playing catch up to Jack too, is talk about politics.
Yeah, that's a no-go. I've never said a single word on my Twitter account about politics, and that will continue because I understand that there is it doesn't help much of anything if your sports only account turns political. So that's a philosophy I've always lived by. So I'm going to continue with that. But anyway, you can find me in my non-political Twitter account at Jack Pilgrim KSR. You can reach out to me via email, jpilgrim@KentuckySportsRadio.com. And with that, we will be back next week. Well, actually, I'm going on my honeymoon, so will not see you next week. I'm leaving on Sunday, actually. If all things go well, I'll be leaving Sunday. So
you're going on a honeymoon, and Travis is going to go on his 8th vacation of the summer.
Gotta get in.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we're flying out on Sunday morning at like 6:50, and you will not hear or see from me for 7 days. I'm disconnecting from the world, and I need it because, gosh, it's just been too much right now. So
no vacations for me, but I'm gonna throw this out there because we're gonna be saving up for a wedding. What's the day? Friday. My daughter got engaged Wednesday night.
Wow!
So, and
congrats!
We'll get married next June. So we're saving every cent for that.
So like, after he asked you if you can marry your daughter, were you like out there like cleaning your gun, like telling him yeah?
No, not really. I'm trying to remember when he asked me if he was sober or not. So that's.
Oh goodness! All right. Well, you'll hear from us at some point in the next couple weeks. It's just not going to be next week, I promise you. So we'll talk to you then. We appreciate you tuning in. We thank Skyy Clark for joining us, and we'll talk to you in the near future.